Welcome to Walking with Spirit with Dr. Ruth Anderson on the International Angels Network and Enlightened World Network. I'm your host, Ruth Anderson, and I'm coming to you live from Colorado. Here at International Angels Network, we explore spirituality, angels, spirit guides, our loved ones on the other side, and much more. Our radio podcasts are available to you on Pocket Cast, Pinterest, Player FM, Podchaser, and now Overcast Radio. Listen to us on Alexa and Echo Amazon devices or download the TuneIn app. These are all easy sites to use and make it really easy to listen to our archive shows. Tonight I am so excited to bring you week 2 of the Reiki mini session with our guest, fellow lightworker Rebecca Abraxas. This episode of International Angels Network is sponsored by Holistic Light Rejuvenation Center. For more information, visit holisticrejuvenate.com. Sunday Sturgeon is the founder and CEO of Holistic Light Rejuvenation Center and is a host on our network. We are pleased to announce that International Angels Network is now also sponsored by Audible by Amazon. If you go to www.audibletrial.com/International Angels Network, you can get a free audiobook, so please check that out today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to listen in. This show is called Walking with Spirit. Walking with Spirit means consciously living in the physical realm with frequent connection to the divinity in the spirit realm and being open to all that they want me to experience. Every day I check in with my guides, Divine Mother, and God, sometimes seeking guidance, sometimes seeking connection, and sometimes seeking their healing abilities. Many days I receive lessons by hearing, seeing, or feeling signs coming in from the energetic realm. I never know what my day is going to look like or what the next learning might be. Each week I share a story about an experience I had while walking with Spirit. This week, I would like to share what Spirit has been crafting in my heart for the past 2 years. There are so many people, individuals, being called to do what they can to bring positive change to the planet. We are being called to come from a place of love, to listen to the inner callings whispering in our ears, and for some of us, persistently nudging and speaking loudly and with urgency. I have been called, as many of you have, to share the truth that Spirit and the universe have shared with me. We all know that planet Earth and her inhabitants are struggling more now than ever. I believe that what could make this situation more bearable would be for people to have hope, connection, and purpose. I conjecture the light workers across the globe are being isolated and distracted from reaching as many individuals as possible in efforts to keep humanity from reaching the highest levels of consciousness possible, sadly at a time when it is needed the most. My personal calling is to create a network, a platform, and a voice for light workers across the globe to unite in a variety of means in order to ultimately have a much larger reach and impact. The ultimate goal is to increase vibrational frequencies of one, of many, and as a united front across the globe. I have been shown that the time to be acting is now, and I have answered the call along with other light workers. I have been given a name for this endeavor of Enlightened. The domain name I was told is enlightenedworld.online. The Facebook names I was led to use are Enlightened and Enlightened World Unites. The Facebook site will be going up soon. I have enough contacts supporting this to believe that the Facebook reach will be global in no time. I have been shown conferences in Los Angeles, New Orleans, and New York to start, bringing in trailblazers in the spiritual world, public spiritual figures, and light workers with the intent of mobilizing and connecting, educating, and focusing on positivity and higher vibrational energies. One of the long-term visions is to create a website where light workers across the globe can have a voice and a platform. They'll be able to share articles, advertise their services and products, mobilize for meditation or prayer circles, purchase and create online radio or TV shows, have a YouTube presence, and seek low-cost and easy-to-access assistance for creating their own websites, publish books, create educational or motivational courses. So please stay tuned as the website progresses. This endeavor is much larger than I, and Spirit is lining up people to be invited in, while the groundwork is being laid for the Facebook page, website, online TV network, and conferences. I am focusing on walking with Spirit to make sure that all is in alignment with the desires of God, the archangels, and the angels. One wild thought I had, as the media are isolated and being demonized by the current administration, maybe the time is ripe to bring them into a positive spiritual movement aimed at making the world a better place for all involved. So that's what's been on my mind and my heart. So thank you for listening. If you are called in any way to see where you might fit into all of this, please feel free to reach back out to me. So I am an author and a spiritual counselor, providing individualized, transformational experiences for my clients using Holy Fire Reiki, energy work, and connection with the spiritual divinity, including the Divine Mother, Archangels Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. I just launched a new book that came out on Amazon in August, Walking with Spirit, Divine Illuminations on Life, Death, and Beyond, shares so many lessons that I have learned this past year and a half, including what happens when we die, how you can connect to the spiritual divinity, and what the spirit realm can teach us about the physical realm we live in. It's available in Kindle now and will be coming out in paperback soon, so please be looking for that on Amazon. So let's get started with our featured guest tonight. Spotlight on lightworker Rebecca Abraxas. The topic of her show is Reiki and Voice, Finding Ease and Joy with Being You. I would like to tell you about Rebecca Abraxas, our guest this evening. Rebecca practices as a Holy Fire 2 Reiki Master teacher and a Holy Fire 2 Karuna Reiki Master. She has combined her 25 years of experience in singing and her wellness education degree with Reiki to offer Reiki and Voice private healing sessions, personal coaching, and training classes. Rebecca, through the years, has worked with people of all ages, from infants to seniors in their 90s. She has found Reiki and Voice practices to offer people the opportunity to heal deeply and to find ease and joy with being their authentic selves. Rebecca's own practice with Reiki has guided her to launch her Sing Yourself Free classes and to offer Reiki sound healing through her voice. She is a mother of 2 older boys and uses her Reiki and Voice practices with her family to create deep connection, honor, and allowance of each other. To get a taste of the topics Rebecca explores, you can view coaching materials as well as Reiki healing music on her YouTube channel. Her CDs of positive music, The Offering, and When Heaven Meets Hell are available on CD Baby. For more information about Rebecca, services she offers, and upcoming events, you can go to RebeccaAbraxas.com, and it's RebeccaAbraxas.com, or visit her on Instagram and Facebook. For inquiries or scheduling, you can reach Rebecca at Rebecca Abraxas, and I will double check that, at gmail.com, or call 303-859-3026. So I would like to welcome Rebecca to the call tonight. Rebecca, are you with us?
Hi, yes. Hi, Ruth. I loved hearing about all you're up to. That's amazing.
It's amazing watching it, honestly, because
cool.
Spirit is just lining up the people that I'm supposed to connect with. And every morning in meditation, I sit at God's feet and I'm literally told who to contact that day.
Yeah.
And so far, everybody but one I'm still waiting to hear from. After I tell them the whole crazy story of everything that we're working on and why, they have all said, how can I support you? Which tells me that they recognized the call when they heard it. So, yeah, it's really exciting, and I know we're going to be talking about it on the air as it keeps coming together.
Yeah, great.
So, Rebecca, I do have a question before we get too far tonight. Your Gmail account, is there only one A? Is it
It is
okay,
two
it is.
A's, so Rebecca and then Abraxas, so two A's back to back.
In your Gmail account?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, because I copied that wrong. So great. So listeners, if you would like to speak with Rebecca tonight on the air, please call, and the number to call is 1-516-453-9162, and make sure to press 1 on your phone if you'd like to share with us. So, Rebecca, tell us a little bit about you and how in the world you came to do Reiki with voice, and then we're going to hear about Reiki in a minute. But first, tell us about you.
Me, let's see. I have been a seeker my whole life, and let's see. It started in, I guess when I was 19, my mom brought me a You Can Heal Your Life book by Louise Hayes, and then I went to go see Guru Maya when I was 20 and got Shaktipa. And since then, I've been a seeker of consciousness and Christ consciousness for a long time. I'm a certified yoga teacher. I've studied yoga therapy. I have a bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science and wellness education. And I kind of found my voice kind of secondary. I have a science degree, and after I got that science degree, I moved to Colorado with my guitar and just started kind of opening up to just teaching myself to play the guitar, and songs started flowing forth, and I became a songwriter, much to everyone's surprise, including my own. And finding my voice was quite a spiritual path for me. And as I opened up and became an open flute for spirit to come through, I learned that performing became more easeful, and this sense of singing became a sense of freedom and flying. And I started to notice that, hey, that feeling I have when I'm performing, how can I feel like that all the time in my life? I want that sense of just openness to God. And so I started kind of combining my worlds of music and spirituality and personal growth. Studied Course in Miracles for a year, read the whole book, and then continued my journey with consciousness and writing songs. Songs came to me that kind of had a flair of what I was going through in my personal growth journey, and I'd put those stories into songs. And I guess it was 2012 I put out my last CD, and then just started to have a craving for something else. My consciousness was blooming, and started thinking about Reiki. I was like, I started looking it up on the internet. And then all of a sudden a body of work called Access Consciousness came my way, and I studied that for 4 years. And then just as Reiki was starting to come into a new energy called Holy Fire, I was invited to come study Holy Fire, and that was a perfect timing for me to come into Reiki. I really felt called to the Holy Fire energy, and I spent a year and a half getting my master training and my Karuna master training. And so that leads me to here, and using Reiki now with my voice and that sense of learning just how to keep opening, keep surrendering to consciousness, to life, to spirit, and using the Reiki and the voice as tools to help others find that sense of openness to walking with spirit, to walking in with the universe having their back, and noticing how that can contribute to their life and how that helps them contribute to the planet as they focus on their own personal growth. I have found with using voice and Reiki that our voice gives us a lot of awareness. Our tone of voice gives us a lot of awareness. So mixing that with Reiki and noticing what our tone is, what our voice is telling us about our body, what happens after we voice out an outward expression, and what's the sound of the stillness and the silence afterwards, because there's a subtle vibration there, just as if we were going to yell out in anger or yell out in a heartfelt sound. All of that leaves a different vibration. We've seen this with talking into water. It changes the molecules. Same thing when we call out and use our sound and our voice to call out into the ether. Molecules change. Our body responds. And so that's where I am at. Long story short, I love doing Reiki as a personal practice. I love writing chants and songs to expand consciousness, and I love sharing that with people.
So I'm going to back you up a little bit. What you're talking about is so interesting, and it is so far removed from anything that I think about, because I just don't, I grew up in choirs and absolutely gravitated to music, so that part's not foreign to me. But I think what you do with the voice is completely foreign to me. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Why would someone come to you, and if they come to you, what is it that you do?
Yeah, so one of the things I do is a Reiki and voice coaching session. I use the Holy Fire Reiki experiences to help people get over their, to heal deeply their blocks to using their voice. People have a lot of trauma with expressing through the voice, and it's very tender and sometimes so subconscious. They don't realize that there's another level of freedom of expression. And so I help them with by giving them the Reiki experiences, the Holy Love experience, and it really helps them heal on a deep level some trauma around their voice and expression. And that helps them feel comfortable and willing to actually let out their voice. And once we can get to the point where we can actually hear the voice, I coach people to receive their own voice and notice. So you take a breath in, you notice, and then you receive the sound and you let it out. And after that, we start to just hear what's in the sound. And it's a practice of not only listening to what's in the sound, because it can give us a lot of awareness. It's called vocal awareness. About, is it feel groggy? Somatically, we can get information around how the voice is coming out, about what's going on physically with the body. We can also notice the sound of our voice and what's going on with ourselves mentally and emotionally. For example, I did some toning work, and I let out a sound once, and I felt very positive, and I was in a good mood, I thought, and I let out a sound. I let out Om. And in the Om, I realized, wait a second, something else is there. There's a frequency that I am today that isn't in congruent or alignment with how my personality is being. So it's pretty deep work that you can hear with the sound, and that helped me go in, and I just kept toning and listening, and there was almost like a grief energy there. And I asked, so how I coach people is what is that? How old is that? What are you aware of? So through a lot of questioning and processing and just being and a lot of sounding, all of a sudden we have these aha moments of some really deep things that on the surface we're like, I'm having a great day. I feel positive. And sometimes under that personality or maybe even egoic nature or pain body is something deeper that wants to really surface and be released or be seen, be healed, so that you can blossom into the next awakening for consciousness.
Interesting. So do you work with the chakras along those lines, or is that different work?
I do sometimes. I do tone the chakras with people. I also encourage them to tune into their own chakras and see what the sound is there. So there's several different chakra toning maps, and a lot of times when people come to me, they're like, oh, it has to be just that tone, and I really encourage them. I do a lot of spontaneous singing with people, and I help them really get to tune into their own energy body and their own physical body. One of the things we do is tune into tension in the body and give it a sound. Pay attention. Let your own vocal cords be the voice of, say, the tension in the hip. And what sound comes out? And sometimes it's really shocking, the sound that comes out. It really does shock some clients. Like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that was there. Where did that even come from? And so they're releasing the tension through their own sound of their hip, and their hip starts to free up. That's a physical experience. But in an energetic experience, I have them kind of tune in to, say, the second chakra just below the navel. And I help them, just guide them to find what's happening in their chakra, what sound is there energetically. Not because the sound ooh is one of the sounds that is part of a chakra map, a sounding map. Ooh, and I'm trying to get them out of the box of that conclusion around that sound and seeing maybe their chakra is sounding something different today, and that there's a lot of possibility with sound in our bodies, and that we don't have to be confined to just one map.
So how many people do you work with that actually like the sound of their voice? Because I'm thinking
not
of
many.
the people that I know, and they all go, oh, I hate hearing myself talk, right?
Yeah. And there's the healing right there. It's very healing to start to accept, allow your own voice, honor your own voice right where it is, because it has information just the way it is. It has a healing quality to it just the way it is. And so my job is to help people love their voice unconditionally, forgive their voice, forgive the people that created trauma for their voice, that now they feel contracted in their voice and expression. So that's all part of the work is, how do we come to forgive our voice, allow our voice, and unconditionally love the voice that's right here, right now.
So that's so interesting, Rebecca, because the more you talk, the more I'm envisioning the voice as almost like another body organ. It's a thing. It's a palpable thing.
It's a thing.
That's so
the
crazy.
Tibetan monks would say, they had a quote, mind, body, voice. We say mind, body, spirit. The Tibetan monks, they would say mind, body, voice. They really saw voice as an extension of spirit. And it is, the breath supports the voice, right? And so if we are breathing in prana and life force energy, and we are tuning in to the energetic being that we are that's having a physical experience, then all of a sudden, if we really allow that space of being, that comes out of our voice. And whatever's not allowing that open flute sensation for spirit also comes through the voice. So there's so much awareness we can have around what story is alive in my life right now, what strategy is alive in my life right now, what judgment am I living today about myself. That's all in the voice, and you can hear it. And not to judge it, but just to be with it. And sometimes when we give something awareness, it's just the awareness that's required, and all of a sudden it goes whoosh, into something different. It just wanted to be seen and heard, and then all of a sudden something else is possible. And so we can really witness that through the voice.
Well, I'm having my own personal little moment here while you're talking. So, I'm learning so much from hearing this, and what I realized now that I'm seeing the voice as a palpable body organ or part of my body, I see that I have totally neglected my voice throughout my entire life because I just now realized it was a thing.
Yeah.
So now I'm wanting to listen to my inner voice. I mean, excuse me for 10 minutes. I'm just going to go meditate and take care of myself. you just take over the show if you would, Rebecca. I'll be back.
Yeah. Meditation, you're right. Meditation works so beautifully with the voice, and it's that inner voice to the outer voice and the outer voice to the inner voice, and it's that whole process that really gives us that deeper awareness and consciousness and helps us heal the subconscious.
Wow. Well, this is going to be fun. My next meditation, I'm looking forward to it already. So when you work with somebody, have you ever noticed that their voice changes as a result of your working with them?
I have. Just the other day I worked with someone, and it can be tender. There's a lot of emotions that flow that don't really have a story, but just kind of are flowing. And when you release that tension, the voice opens up. And after we do the Reiki experience with Holy Fire, there is an opening, right? So a lot of times we're contracting. I don't like my voice. I've had this, and that happen. And when we just open back up, when we expand the boundaries of our body energetically, when we have that open flute sensation, there's such a different experience of the voice of the person voicing and of the person in front of them receiving the voice. So it does sound different. And one of the things I also teach is a little bit of technique of how do we really express through our body? Like, how can we be a resonating chamber, the whole body be a resonating chamber? And then there are the more focal points, like the chest, the mouth, the nasal cavity, and the head voice. How do we learn how to access those for more playground for the sound wave that's coming past your vocal cords through the breath? So I help them really open that up, and you can really see, and they start to notice the patterns. Oh, am I kind of locked in my nasal cavity? Or I'm just speaking just from my mouth. Or I want people singing and opening and expressing from their toes all the way to the top of their crown of their head. And when we become this resonating chamber for the sound, the whole body. So yes, that changes the voice dramatically, and it has a very a more groundedness to it. It has a more openness to it. But mostly what I see is people having the ability to say, you know what, I was able to say my opinion about something. Or, a lot of people have been quiet their whole lives, or they've it hasn't been safe to say something, right? And that was a strategy they did as a young child. It's like, I'm not going to speak anymore. It's safer to be quiet, and really helping them get out of those. So some of the biggest turnarounds I see is people just being like, you know what, it is safe, and I have this opinion, and it's different than yours, and I'm going to say this now. And that's really exciting to see when people's life can open up when they say, this is what's important to me. And just one other thing. It's just recently I did a Sing Yourself Free class, and a client of mine had tuned into her chest, and she felt grief there. And recently had a diagnosis where there's a disease process happening, and the voice, tuning into the voice and the voice of that area, she was able to start tuning in to this area and feel kind of a heaviness there. And using the voice to clear it really helped her bring awareness to the area to help go get it looked at. So it can bring a lot of awareness to the body, bringing your voice to different areas. So, yeah.
So can I share with you what I'm experiencing now? because
please.
I'm clearly going through a healing with you. I mean, I'm actually not kidding that, I'll just go meditate, you take over. Because as I'm sitting here, I've been having my eyes closed and I'm just listening to your words. And as I've been sitting here, I've been feeling the opening in my chest space, my heart space, just opening wide and like almost to where it's uncomfortable, that kind of a stretch.
Yeah.
And this morning in meditation, I was reminded that Spirit can only give someone so much information as wide as their platform is, as wide as their shoulders are, as wide as they're able to support themselves. That's how much Spirit can give you. And until you broaden your stance in the world and your stance as a spiritual being, Spirit just won't give you more because it's not in your best alignment, right? So as I was having that healing this morning and a broadening of my space, myself in the world to be able to take on more with this enlightened world concept, the healing that I'm receiving with you right now is impacting that, and it's matching that. So I'm just fascinated, enjoying this on the side. So thank you.
That's wonderful. Would you like to do a little toning with that? That's wonderful. And it starts stretching us. And would you like to do a little toning right now?
You're going to make me feel so incredibly vulnerable. But maybe that's what we're. I don't even like toning to myself. Yeah. Nonetheless,
it is very vulnerable work. Yeah, it is very vulnerable work. So yeah, if you want to say no, that is just fine. But if you would like to, just for the audience's sake, to just show us, it's a really good example of what you're saying, of what a client might go through right here. And we could tone through that kind of stretching kind of feeling that you're feeling. And just a gentle ma.
I will do it if you will do it with me, because Spirit is saying that, yes, I should be doing this. So I don't want to ma solo.
No. We're going to ma in chorus here.
Okay.
All right. So I'll lead you through it here. So just tune into that heart sensation that you're experiencing, and the wonderful opening that's coming to you, and even place your hand on your heart and see if you can receive the sound healing of your own voice and the Reiki coming through your own voice. And just taking a nice, comfortable breath. You don't have to try to be anything. It doesn't have to be loud. And we're just going to let out a ma. Ma. And just go to where your breath will let you, and then take another breath, and we'll just do it a few rounds. Ma. And last one, breathing into your chest. And just being still for a moment. And after that sound, what do you notice in the stillness, and how does your chest feel?
My chest is like wide open. And what do I notice in the silence? So intuitively, what I see is it's almost like a cave with like cobwebs in it. So I'm guessing it's that whole theory of the neglected voice all of these years. That,
oh, wow.
yeah, it's needing a little TLC in there.
Yeah, beautiful.
Maybe a Swifter or something to, clean up the cobwebs.
Yeah, but so that's a little taste of the work. It's simple yet profound, and used with the Reiki energy, it can really bring up a lot. So what you said is like, I don't know what I notice or sense, but you got an image. That's how it works. Yeah, we'll get awareness in lots of different ways. Maybe you hear another sound, or hear some words, or you saw the image of the cave, or the sensation of your heart wide open, or there's a sense of a deeper level of peace. And so this is kind of, anything really goes, and each symbology, just you write it down and see where it takes you next, what door opens next after that awareness. And so that's the work.
Very nice. So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When I do a lot of writing, I know that I'm channeling spirit, whether it's the Divine Mother or Archangel Michael or Gabrielle or whoever at the particular time. And there are times that I do a lot of writing, and when I'm done writing, my voice is hoarse. And I have not been able to figure that out unless it's just that I've been like overtaxing my communication chakra.
That's interesting. Yeah. My first sense was that were you holding your breath?
Oh, that's possible. I don't know. Maybe I'm sort of in my own little trance thing, Maybe I am holding my breath. I don't know.
Yeah, but that is a very interesting thing. Why would that is a fun thing to work with. So asking questions like, whose voice is this? That's hoarse. How old was I when I went hoarse? When I, how old were you when you started to get this channeling ability? And was it allowed? So maybe getting hoarse, that it is an expression, like you said, like maybe it's that creative, that expression chakra. And what were you allowed to have this voice as a channel back then? Because a lot of times it does come to us when we're a child, and it's shut down when we're children. So perhaps you're going forth with it, regardless of this strategy or voice from the past, and maybe clearing up some of the story and the trauma of being shut down as a child could possibly be help you with that hoarseness. But I think you're onto something there. Yeah, that it's. I think you're onto healing something pretty old for you with that thing. That hoarseness is happening after writing. That's exciting.
Yeah,
that's
actually
like
kind of. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, actually, to write and then be hoarse. It's totally ridiculous, but yeah, intriguing nonetheless.
Well, it's information, right? It's information.
Right.
It's brilliant information that your body is giving you, and so it would be fun to explore some more.
Yes, it actually would. I would like to do that with you, since we're neighbors and all. I would like to do that. So you were mentioning Holy Fire Reiki, and you and I are both trained in Holy Fire Reiki. Can you share what you see as the differences between Holy Fire Reiki and just the typical Usui Reiki?
Sure. So Usui Reiki came to us in the 20s when Usui had his awakening moment. And Usui, as I've heard it, he's always thought it was a evolving energy, right? Fast forward to William Rand, who is the founder of the International Center for Reiki Training. He's been doing Reiki since the 80s, and he's discovered this kind of fine-tuned energy that came in 2014. And he called it Holy Fire. He ran it past several colleagues and had them experience it, and they definitely felt a refinement of the energy, that it was refined and a higher consciousness of energy. And so in 2014, the Usui method kind of has a new energy to it called the Holy Fire Usui Reiki. And you can still go and get attuned to the Usui Reiki, and now you can also choose Holy Fire. And the difference is that it's a expanded consciousness. It's a higher level of consciousness. It's a more refined energy. It comes from a Christ consciousness before the religion started around Christianity. It's an energy of unconditional love, and it totally responds to free will. It helps people work on the positive aspects of their bring forth the positive aspects of their personality. And these are things that people are seeing with using Holy Fire. And I have received Usui Reiki, but I've been trained in Holy Fire. And so I have most of my experience in Holy Fire. The Holy Fire energy, according to Reiki masters who have been studying this for 20 years and have experienced a lot of Usui Reiki, and now they've experienced the Holy Fire Reiki. They've noticed that my train of thought just went out the window. It came to Reiki because of the non-dogmatic nature of Reiki, that it's very non-judgmental, very simple practice, and that it's an energy that this planet is ready for, and it's kind of our next awakening to this conscious energy. And so it's for whoever's being pulled to it. It's not for everybody. It's for whoever's being pulled to it, and there's lots of other Reikis, there's lots of other paths to take, so it's just another form, and if you feel guided toward it, it helps to establish unconditional love. It's deeply detoxing, but in a very gentle way, and it will really go deep into what I've noticed is deep into subconscious dimensional healing, past life healing. It definitely is very rich and deep in the type of healing it can do, and gentle. There is some like what people call a healing crisis, but there can be some of that. But what I've noticed with Holy Fire, it's pretty gentle. You know, maybe a few days you're feeling kind of funky, but for the most part, it can be pretty deep healing. For myself, just noticing a kind of a quantum leap healing the other day with my relationship, things that we have been wanting to get to the bottom of and forgive each other for, and all of a sudden it's just healed, and both of us experienced it. It was just healed. And we were ready to go into months of counseling. We were ready to just really get into this. You know, we've been married 16 years, and honestly, we both felt this kind of quantum healing. And is that happen all the time? No. Is it possible? Yes. And we both meditate with Reiki every day. And so Reiki, Holy Fire Reiki, just it heals when you're asking for the healing, and it heals sometimes when in ways that you aren't expecting. I didn't expect this quantum leap. I expected maybe some help and support, but to have this quantum leap and be guided to this healing was just actually, I just wrote about it on my blog this week. If anyone wants to hear the actual story, it was a pretty profound healing, and I'm still kind of in awe of it. But so Holy Fire, it can really help deeply with relationships and some really deep healing. And so that's my take on it.
Yeah, well, so when you said some people are drawn to it and others won't be, I remember the first time that I saw an advertisement for somebody teaching Holy Fire Reiki, and I couldn't wait to get it. I couldn't wait. And I thought, what is this? What is this? But there was a recognition, I believe, in my soul that was the path for me. And my guess is it was a recognition of coming home. Yeah. Right? Of energy that I had known and loved in previous lifetimes, and I was coming home. And when I received I did Holy Fire Reiki, and I think it was 3 or 4 half days with a colleague that Rebecca and I both know. And during the attunement process, and if you have not gone through a Reiki attunement, it's during meditation, and the teacher directs you. And I had such profound attunements, and I wrote them all down. You know, during meditation, I was shown so many different things. And that was 2 years ago. And Enlightened World, this whole thing that's coming together, is what I saw in the Reiki attunement 2 years ago. And I wondered at the time, what is that? I had no context for it. And I thought maybe I was crazy that I had seen these things. And here I am 2 years later living it. So personally, for me, I cannot speak highly enough for Holy Fire Reiki. It is so much more profound. And for those of you that work with healing masters and psychic surgeons, that was an interesting piece for me, because when I did the Holy Fire Reiki attunement, we were to say goodbye to our healing masters and psychic surgeons and work with new guides. And that was a little bit of a painful tug, because I had learned to love mine. And I'm, they're still there for me. I'm sure they're still guides for me, but they don't do the healing work with me anymore. So can you speak to that? Why is that one gives up their psychic surgeon and healing master?
Okay, well, so there's a few things that you just reminded me of, too. Well, one is Holy Fire, when you get the attunements now, they're called placements, and they're done differently, and they're more powerful because it doesn't come through the actual the master teacher. It actually just, Holy Fire energy comes down and gets placed on its own. And so there's kind of a more purity to it, and so makes it stronger. And it's a very high consciousness. So when we are getting trained as Holy Fire Masters, we are asked to go from one level of guides to third heaven, to the highest level of consciousness guides. And so because Holy Fire is such a fine-tuned, high-frequency energy, it only aligns with those type of guides. So, but like Kuan Yin and archangels, these are of the third heaven. They align with Holy Fire energy. So, so if we are working with guides that are of second heaven in Reiki, that's kind of like the entity realm. Disembodied beings, and these are spirit beings that some of them have agendas, some of them still have an egoic pattern and strategies. Some of them really do want to guide you to good, but however, they still have an agenda and an ego, and they can only lead you so far in consciousness. So when we ask you to kind of trade your guides in, we're saying we're asking you to bring on guides that have infinite possibilities. It's non-polarized, no more ego. It's just of universal spiritual energy. And that's the guides that Holy Fire can work with. And so that's why we ask to kind of say thank you to those guides that are maybe working on that different level of consciousness, the second heaven consciousness. And we kind of graduate to some new guides. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Because that works just expanding our consciousness, and with that expansion, we have to expand the consciousness of our guides as well. Yes,
that makes perfect sense. Sure, it makes perfect sense. And you know what, Rebecca, I am being reminded we've only got 9 minutes left in the show, and I am hoping that you can send an energy healing to our friends that are facing hurricanes right now, or other issues in their own personal lives. Would you mind?
Sure. So, do you want me to do that with the Reiki and the voice, or just the Reiki?
You are the guest here. You do what is coming to you.
Okay. So I'm just going to call on Holy Fire here, and just ask Holy Fire.
And if we get going too long in 7 minutes, I'm going to cut you off. So you take your time, but I might cut you off.
Okay. And so we're bringing in all the people that are facing fear and challenges on the East Coast with the coming weather. And everyone in our country, everyone in our world, and we're just sending this healing out for peace in their hearts, in alignment with unconditional love for themselves and each other. We ask for the most benevolent outcome. And thank you, Reiki. Holy fire. Blessings on your evening.
Thank you, Rebecca. It was beautiful.
You're welcome.
So we do have a couple more minutes. When you are working with folks, I know you bring in a number of modalities, a number of skills that you've been taught. Do you see things? Do you use your intuition while you're doing your work?
I do use my intuition, and I ask Reiki, and sometimes things come to my mind's eye. Sometimes I see a shape, and I'll sound it out. Sometimes I've seen into past lives, or I'll get colors for people to work with. An awareness comes in lots of different ways, and I'll ask Reiki, is this something that they can hear right now, that they can receive on a physical level? And if it is, I'll share with them after the session what I see. I wouldn't call myself a reader, a psychic reader in any way. But when I do call in the Reiki energy and I use the voice, there's awareness that I can get. And just to help people to spark their own awareness, I really believe in empowering my clients to know what they know. And I really like to evolve past the idea of coming to a healer to be healed, whereas I see it as kind of like a team, an awareness team, and kind of working off each other to expand awareness and consciousness. So yeah, I'm a coach or facilitator in that way, to help people know what they know and trust their own awareness and trust their own visions and trust what is coming to them.
Nice. And when you and I were speaking before the show, you were talking about maybe having a special for the listeners of International Angels Network.
Yes. let's see, a listener's special. I do a 1-hour Reiki and voice sessions, and they can focus on voice more, or they can focus on Reiki more. I'm going to give them a half off, so half off
wow.
of an hour session. That would be $55 savings, so it would give them $55 sessions, and that can be used in person, or it can be used over the phone or Skype.
Very nice. So if they want to do that, how should they contact you?
I would just use my email or text and just say, hey, listener special, and then we can go from there, just making some time and making arrangements.
Okay, that's great. So we're looking at, you could call 303-859-3026 or go check out RebeccaAbraxas.com, and you'll be able to find her contact information there. So let's see, we've got 2 minutes. So here's a question that I just have to ask you. So you said that when people see, or when you see a shape, you make that sound. And my brain can't figure out what that means.
Mine can't either, but sometimes I just see shapes or colors and I just will know the sound of it. I'm not quite sure. But what I do teach people in my Reiki classes is how to use their voice. I have a Reiki class coming up on September 22nd. It's Reiki 1 and Authentic Voice, and I help them trust whatever they're seeing and knowing and help them use their voice to express it. So I can't teach someone to sing a shape, but I can teach them to trust themselves, and I can help teach them how to flow Reiki and just surrender to Reiki and let that voice come out. So, it's just something that kind of happened. I'll see like a spiral and I'll just know the sound of it. It's kind of, there's lots of ways of sensing. We can sense through hearing or feeling or seeing, and one of mine's, I guess it's just knowing. And so my sensing is like I just know sometimes.
Okay. Well, Rebecca, I would love to have you back on the show again if you would like to come on. Okay. We'll figure out a time to do that. And our time is up, so I need to say goodnight to you all. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, Ruth. This was wonderful.
Of course. And it is truly an honor to be among the hosts of International Angels Network and Enlightened World Network, and I look forward to walking with Spirit and you next week. So good night and God bless.
Take care.